Hello everyone. I, Mr. Vishal Shaha, Assistant Professor, Krishna Institute of Pharmacy, Chloride, once again welcome you all to this session of pharmaceutical analysis. Here in this video, we are going to cover about the limit test for the chloride, where we will in detail see what is the statement, reaction and the principle involved in the limit test for the chloride. In previous videos, we have covered with the sources of impurities that are occurring in the pharmaceutical substances. If you have not watched my previous videos related to the pharmaceutical analysis, you can watch my previous videos also. And if you like the content of this my YouTube channel, please like my videos, share with your friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's begin with our today's session on the limit test for the chlorides. Now just before starting our this today's session, we will see what are the learning outcomes of this session. Yes, after watching this video, what you should be able to understand. So after this session, students will be able to explain the statement, then the reaction and the principle involved in the limit test for the chloride. So let's see one by one. Now before starting our today's session, we will see or we will discuss about the what is the meaning of limit test. Now basically limit test, these are the either quantitative or the semi-quantitative tests. They are mainly designed to identify and control small quantities of the impurities. So whatever the impurities that are present in very small or in trace amount, so which likely to be present in the substance. So they are generally designed to identify and control the small amount of impurities that are present in our substances. Generally, these limit tests are utilized for the identification of chlorides, sulfate, arsenic, lead, iron. So these are the common limit tests that are used to identify the trace amount of impurities that are present, because these impurities are present always in each and every substance. So we have to check whether these impurities are present in a permissible limit or not. For that purpose, these limit tests are used. Actually, they means every limit test is involved on the simple comparison of either opalescence, turbidity or color that is produced within their two different samples. One is the test sample and other one is the standard sample. So different pharmacopoeias gives a specific limit for each impurity that must be present, or each amount of either chloride, sulfate that must be present in a pharmaceutical substances. If they are present above that limit, that particular substance cannot be used as a pharmaceutical substance. So we have to fix that limit less than the whatever the limit that is provided by the pharmacopoeias. So here in this case, either we are going to compare the opalescence, turbidity or the color that is produced in the test with the standard. So if this opalescence, turbidity or color is more as compared to the standard sample, then we can say that our sample does not pass the limit test. And if the amount that opalescence, turbidity or the color is less, then we can say the amount of the impurities that are present in our sample, they are less, and in that case that our sample passes the pharmacopoeial limit test. Further, the limit test is generally carried out to determine the inorganic impurities, as I said, like chloride, sulfates, then the different metal like iron, arsenic, lead, etc. The quantity of any one impurity, an official substance, is often small, and consequently the visible reaction response to any test for that impurity also small. The design of individual tests are therefore important if errors are to be avoided in hands of a different operators. So just we will start with the limit test for the chloride directly. As I said, limit test, these are the quantitative or semi-quantitative tests They are mainly used to check the presence of inorganic impurities. Now, limit test for chloride, which is mainly used to control the chloride impurity in inorganic substances. So, the limit test for chloride is based upon upon the reaction between the silver nitrate, then soluble chlorides. So, these soluble chlorides are a part of our inorganic substance or the material. So, here we are going to perform the reaction between our soluble chlorides which are present in the sample with the silver nitrate that we are going to add. So, when we have added the silver nitrate to soluble chlorides, there will be reaction between these two takes place, and there will be formation of insoluble silver chloride will takes place in presence of the dilute nitric acid. So, this is the statement for the limit test. So, limit test for the chloride is based upon the simple reaction between the silver nitrate and the soluble chlorides to give the insoluble silver chloride in presence of the dilute nitric acid. So, the insoluble silver chloride makes the solution opalescent. Opalescent means what? Turbidity is produced in our sample solution. So, very small particles, solid particles are formed from the soluble chlorides because AgCl, it is insoluble, and due to which these particles are suspended in our solvent. The extent of opalescence that is produced, it depends upon the amount of chloride that is present in the substance, which is compared with the standard opalescence that is produced in a standard solution having a known amount of chloride. So, as I said, we are going to compare either this opalescence that is produced or a turbidity or the color that is produced. So, in limit test for chloride, here there will be formation of opalescence will take place, and we are going to carry out the comparison of this opalescence with the opalescence that is produced in your standard sample solution. So, in this way, if the opalescence that is produced in the test sample is less, then we can say that our pharmaceutical, that substance is passing the pharmacopoeia limit. And if the opalescence that is produced in our test sample is more, then we can say that that substance does not passes the pharmacopoeia limit. So, basically, this is the reaction that is involved in the limit test for the chloride. This you can see where, as I said, the reaction between the chlorides which is soluble. So, these chlorides are present in our inorganic substance. So, in first step we are going to carry out the solubilization of our inorganic substance into the specific solvent, usually water. So, these chlorides are also becomes soluble, and we are going to carry out the addition of silver nitrate in presence of a dilute nitric acid. So, there will be reaction between the chlorides and silver ions will take place, and there will be formation of silver chloride will take place, which is insoluble. And the quantity of this AgCl that is produced, it depends upon the chlorides. Suppose our sample is consisting of very small amount of chlorides, then definitely the amount of this AgCl that is formed, this AgCl will be less. And if the chlorides are more, the amount of AgCl precipitated will be more. So, this is the statement principal reaction involved in the limit test for the chloride. Now, if the opalescence produced in the test is less intense than that of the standard opalescence, the sample passes the limit test for the chloride or the vice versa. Dilute nitric acid, here we are going to use it for the prevention of the precipitation of other acid radicals with the silver nitrate. So, other acidic radicals also capable of reacting with our silver nitrate that we are going to use. So, it may enhance the opalescence. So, here we are going to use the dilute nitric acid to avoid this side reaction. So, it prevents other acidic radicals to react with the silver nitrate, and only chlorides are capable of reacting with the silver nitrate, and that's why we are going to use this nitric acid. Now, it acts by providing a common ion effect, that is the nitrate. So, what is that common ion effect? That we will study afterwards. Just so you can remember, here due to the common ion effect, it will suppress the precipitation of the other ions. Now, we will see what are the different reagents that are we require in this particular limit test. So, preparation of standard chloride solution. which is having the concentration of about 25 ppm. As we know, ppm, we have studied it, that is the parts per million. So dilute 5 volumes of 0.0824 weight by volume solution of sodium chloride to 100 volumes with the water. So it gives us a standard solution which is having a 25 ppm concentration. Then 0.1 molar silver nitrate, dissolve 1.7 gram of silver nitrate in a sufficient distilled water to make up the volume up to the 100 ml. And dilute nitric acid, it contains approximately 10% weight by weight of HNO3, and dilute the 106 ml of the concentrated nitric acid to 1000 ml, because here we are going to use the 10% weight by weight. So instead of 100, as we are going to use the volume, just we have converted that volume, that is the 100 gram is equivalent to 106 ml of concentrated nitric acid, which is diluted with the 1000 ml of up to 1000 ml of water. So these are the various reagents that are required. Now we will see one example where we are going to carry out the limit test for the magnesium sulfate. So here, as you know, you can see these containers, they are known as the Nessler's cylinder. Though they looks like a test tube, these are not the test tubes. Nessler cylinders, they are specifically used for the performing the limit test, which are a transparent glass apparatus having the capacity of about 50 ml. Now here we are going to use two Nessler cylinder. One, this is for the our test sample, this one is for the standard sample. Now as we know, we are going to prepare the standard solution. Already we know the procedure. So we are taking 25 ml of this standard solution. Here there is a correction, that we are going to use the of the standard solution, which is having a concentration of 25 ppm. And in the test sample, we are going to measure exact quantity of 1 gram of magnesium sulfate in a 10 ml of distilled water. This is the first point. After that, in both the Nessler cylinder, we are going to carry out the addition of the 10 ml of dilute HNO3. Then we are going to make up, or we are going to carry out the dilution of these particular quantities up to 50 ml with the distilled water. So there is always one mark is present on that particular Nessler cylinder, and up to that mark we are going to fill the water. As soon as we have diluted our sample and test solution, we are going to carry out the addition of the silver nitrate. And as soon as we add the 1 ml of 0.1 molar silver nitrate solution, precipitation is carried out between the chloride ions and the AgNO3, and there will be formation of a AgCl as a precipitate. And as you see, we are going to carry out the comparison of these opalescence. So if you observe this particular both the pictures, here you can see the quantity of AgCl is less as compared to over here. Here you can see more particles of AgCl. So this solution will like more turbid and this will be less turbid. So in this case, we can say that our sample passes the limit test. And if this situation is reverse, then we can say our sample does not passes the limit test for the chloride. In this way, we can perform the limit test for the chloride for any sample. Also, the procedure that we are going to use, it will be dependent upon which sample that we are going to use. Now, here sometimes in certain cases we need to carry out the maintenance of the pH of that particular solution. So this is carried out by using the different buffer solution, and this procedure depends upon the individual compound and different monographs of an individual compound, which is prescribed by that particular pharmacopoeias. So here we have completed with the limit test for the chloride. In next video we will study the limit test for the sulfate. So before that, just here this is the exercise for you. You have to go to this particular website testmos.com/7991402, use the passcode, and you have to give the answer to the questions that are provided in that particular link. Thank you. So if you have any queries related to the pharmaceutical analysis, you can contact me on this my mail ID. And if you like the content of this my channel, like my videos, share with your friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.